Welcome to Sports Debaters. I'm Henry.
And I'm Will.
Thank you for joining us as we analyze the March Madness bracket. Will, what are some of the biggest surprises you have from what the selection committee did with these seeds?
You know, March being the best time of the year,
Yeah.
just getting underway. I was so excited for yesterday, watching CBS at 5 o'clock, watching them unveil the brackets, and I had a couple of surprises. First, I think Kentucky getting an 8 seed is extremely low for them.
I would agree with that.
Kentucky's playing their best basketball right now, and I find it hard to believe that they are only an 8 seed. I think that it's extremely unfortunate for a Wichita State team that would most likely have to play them in the second round if Kentucky can escape their first round win, and so can Wichita State.
Talk about a tough road. Wichita State has arguably the hardest road of any one
The
seed.
Midwest is the bracket of doom. That's what they're calling it.
They get Louisville possibly, Kentucky maybe, Duke, Michigan are some of the other teams that
UMass,
they could see.
a very good team.
Yeah.
Texas, another solid team. I mean, you look at this bracket and it's completely stacked. And then I look at the West bracket right now with Arizona, Wisconsin, Creighton, Baylor.
I
would argue that is the least stacked. I mean, I look at some of the other sides and I think that they are very competitive. And I see this one and I don't think there's a team in here that would be a Final Four team. But we'll go into each matchup in just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I also was surprised with not only SMU not making the field, but North Carolina State making it in over them, as I saw North Carolina State having really only one quality win over Syracuse, when Syracuse is really on the ropes right now. They have struggled tremendously lately after going 25-0.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was pretty nice giving Syracuse a 3 seed. The way they have been playing the last month and a half,
they overachieved in the first half of the season,
going undefeated 16-0 or whatever.
Well, think about it. They got lucky several times. A half-court shot against
Pittsburgh,
another buzzer beater, just escaping teams just at the last second, and finally caught up to them when now they're not able to compete with some of their schedule got tougher. They played the better teams in the ACC, and now we truly see that Syracuse is not the number one team in the nation, as many thought they were earlier in the year.
Now, my biggest surprise was a team that's not even in the whole bracket. It has to be SMU.
Yeah.
A 33 BPI, one under Massachusetts in the BPI rankings, yet Massachusetts get a 6 seed and SMU is in the NIT. That doesn't make sense to me. They have 5 wins against top 25 teams.
You know,
how could they not have been included? I understand their SOS out of conference was
305th in the nation, and that's what really did it for me. If SMU wanted to get into this tournament, I mean, obviously the scheduling, that's a problem in itself, and they're obviously going to address that, but they had a chance to beat Louisville late in the year, and they didn't do it. That was their chance. If they beat Louisville, they're in. Instead, it was a close game throughout. They lost it at the end, and that's why they're not in.
But look at NC State hasn't taken all their opportunities. I mean, they took 1 out of 5.
I'm agreeing. I'm not saying North Carolina State deserves to be in, but I'm also not saying SMU is most certainly more deserved than North Carolina State. I think they're both. I would leave them both out of this bracket and maybe add someone else.
Last week,
Southern Miss, maybe a small school team that has.
I would disagree because they don't have the quality wins that a team like SMU has. Starting last week, SMU was in the top 25. I don't understand how they're not even in this bracket. Okay, let's move on. I say we start dissecting each.
Absolutely, it's you gotta
matchup
by matchup. There's a lot of them, but
we'll start in the South. Florida. I think there's no possible way
Florida
that
and whoever they play, as we should say.
Mount St. Mary's, who's 500 actually.
Florida will win this game. I'm fairly confident of that, and everyone's scrambling to make their brackets right now to try to win Warren Buffett's $1 billion. Florida's a safe bet in this one.
That's the safe bet, and also according to Nate Silver in 538, who's basically a statistician,
right? Absolutely,
who uses stats to back up
the last
his
6 years. He's been
pretty
incredibly accurate, really.
Yeah, and he has Florida actually the highest percentage of chance of actually winning the bracket. So, for sure, I think you would have to put them in as going through into the third round. Now, Will, this is where it gets interesting. Colorado, Pittsburgh.
Colorado has had a couple really good years now. That they're not really known for being a basketball school, and they've really come together and played well.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
I think Pitt is playing great. Pitt added a seed. I don't know if that's or excuse me, a 9 seed.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too low. I would say, I think it's okay. They've had some tough losses, as we said. They have had Syracuse winning a lot of close games. Pitt lost a lot of close games. So they're really opposites in that manner, as Pitt was actually the one that lost to Syracuse on the half-court buzzer beater by Tyler Ennis. But I think Pitt has really been in a lot of games, beat North Carolina in the ACC tournament, and I think that Pitt will win this game.
I completely agree with that thinking. I mean, they have come close in a lot of games. They play as a cohesive unit, and I think that they will inevitably beat Colorado. I think Colorado was a little more hot at the beginning of this season. They beat Kansas on a buzzer beater, actually. I think some of their luck is worn out, and I think they'll make a first-round exit. So let's move on to the next game in that bracket, where it's VCU and SF Austin. At first glance, this looks like a no-brainer, but Will, is it?
No, it is not. Stephen F. Austin is a tremendous ball club. They have only lost 2 games the entire year.
Yeah.
And, this is really a tough matchup for VCU. VCU, a very quick, athletic team that scores the ball, but they just suffered a loss to St. Joe's in the Atlantic 10 tournament, and I don't like the way they're playing right now. I think that you look at a 12 seed over a 5 seed is one of the more known upsets.
Yeah, in the last 5 years, I think there has been a 12 seed that's gone into the Sweet 16 every single year. So this could possibly be it.
Stephen F. Austin has not really played anyone, but the fact that they've only lost 2 games tells me that they're a good team.
Wichita State hasn't played anyone, but look, they get the number 1 seed. So
I think that Stephen F. Austin pulls off the upset. This is going to be a high-scoring game. This is going to be a fast-paced game. It's going to be a game that you want to mark. You want to record on your televisions because you will want to watch this game, as they will be running up and down the court the entire game.
Now, my one question about Stephen F. Austin is, do they have the ball handlers? Because VCU is going to high pressure.
Their defense, their traps are
best defense in the nation. My question is, do they have multiple ball handlers that can deal with it? If they do, I'm calling for the upset, because VCU does not shoot the 3-ball well.
No.
Their best 3-point shooter is not even above 40%. They are absolutely horrible. So, and you need to shoot the 3-ball to win in the NCAA tournament. It's been one of the resounding stats that all top teams have, and I think I would be really scared if SF Austin can actually handle the ball for VCU fans.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup in this bracket, the 4-13 UCLA-Tulsa. Who do you got, Henry?
I have UCLA. They are hot right now.
Absolutely.
They have great players.
They have
Kyle Anderson, who is deceptively really, really good.
He is probably the hardest player to guard in all of college basketball, as he's virtually a 6'9" point guard.
He reminds me. He has a lot of traits similar to Kevin Durant. He can shoot the ball. He can dribble the ball.
Yep.
He's lanky.
Can rebound the ball.
Really, really tall.
Exactly. He is technically a forward, the power forward, but he plays point. He plays every position on the floor, and that's what makes him so hard to guard. I think right now, UCLA. I definitely think UCLA after winning the Pac-12. But if there was a 13 to possibly upset a 4,
this is not it. I don't think.
I think Tulsa is probably the best 13 seed.
Why
in the
bracket?
Who does
Tulsa even beat this year?
Because Tulsa has played. I'm not exactly sure who they've beaten, but Tulsa is one of the better teams as a 13 seed. Compare them to the other 13 seeds. New Mexico State, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think I can make that. This bracket, I think they're all very weak. I don't think they're very good.
I think Manhattan's the only one that can make an argument. And Delaware over Michigan State, I don't see that happening. So I think Tulsa probably, if there was, which I'm not saying there is, because I definitely see UCLA in this one, it would be Tulsa.
I would agree with that. I don't see a 4 seed going out in the first round.
I don't either.
It's not happening.
Let's go on to the in-state battle of Dayton versus Ohio State. This is very interesting.
We have some players on Dayton. There's a player who's also played for Ohio State. So this is a really interesting matchup that I think the committee kind of, I don't know, did they put it together for that reason? They could have game planned like that.
Dayton most certainly wants to play Ohio State, and I can tell you right now, Ohio State most certainly does not want to play Dayton.
I'd agree with that.
This is a game to watch out for. I don't know if Dayton will be able to pull this game off, because I think Ohio State is good with their scores. You got Aaron Craft, LaQuinton Ross. You have some great players, but Dayton will give Ohio State all they can handle. And I think this will be a really good game.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think Aaron Kraft will not let them lose. He is too good, and I think that unless a major shock happens, Ohio State's going on to the next round. Syracuse versus Western Michigan is the next matchup.
This is my upset of the tournament right here, Henry.
Really?
Western Michigan over Syracuse. Syracuse, as we've mentioned earlier, is not playing well at all. Western Michigan has two phenomenal players, and right now I'm blanking on their names, but they
That's okay.
Shane, you look out for Shane Livingston or something in that area, and you look out for Derek Brown. That is his name, Derek Brown, the point guard. Shane Livingston is a rebound away from averaging a double-double. He averages 16 points a game and 9 rebounds a game. And Derek Brown averages 19 points a game. These two, this is a dynamic duo that I don't know if Syracuse's zone can handle. I think that Syracuse has Western Michigan certainly has Syracuse on their heels, and I think Western Michigan will be able to pull off this upset. Watch out for we got 2 upsets in this bracket, Henry. Stephen F. Austin over VCU.
And also we got
Western
Pittsburgh,
Michigan over Syracuse.
And technically Pittsburgh's an upset, but you know, that's like a 50-50 game. These 8-9 games, they're so hard to...
I just think that Syracuse is not playing well right now. Western Michigan is. Western Michigan has 2 very good players, and I think Syracuse really overachieved this year.
I would agree. They're not, and there's also a resounding factor in the tournament. The teams that are hot go really far. The teams that are ice cold go out in the first game. I just remember a couple years ago seeing UConn win the whole Big East tournament. Everyone was counting them out. Then they won the whole NCAA tournament. If you get hot and you have a good team, you're hot. Exactly. You're going far. Okay. New Mexico, Stanford. Will, who do you got?
You know, this is a really interesting matchup because a lot of people say New Mexico as a 7th seed is a very dangerous spot. And I would tend to agree, but I think Stanford is actually very dangerous as a 10 seed. Stanford can guard New Mexico by playing a stretch 4. New Mexico has 2 big guys, but they can't guard Stanford when they play a stretch 4, and that's why I have Stanford in this matchup. Actually, I think this will be a really good game. It's a toss-up, really. I mean, I've made a couple brackets. I have New Mexico in some, and Stanford and some of the others, and I think that Stanford. If you're feeling good and you're feeling greedy and you're looking for some upsets, definitely this is a Stanford team that is capable of it, but this is also a New Mexico team that is capable of making a run. Yeah, so they're both dangerous.
I think this is a surprisingly really good game. I mean, the strength of schedule that Stanford has played this year is 8th in the country.
Right.
They've played 14 top 50 RPI teams. They are prepared for a brawl in the NCAA tournament. I understand that New Mexico won the Mountain West tournament against San Diego State. They are hot. But Stanford's also pretty hot.
Yeah,
so
they are.
I wouldn't be surprised. I could go with Stanford or I could go with New Mexico. I'm going with the upset. I'm going with Stanford as well.
Alrighty, Henry. Kansas, Eastern Kentucky, KU, that's all we got.
Yeah, as you can see, my jersey, I can't go. There's no way I could see Eastern Kentucky in my mind and in my heart as well.
All right, Henry. In the South region, which we just went over, who do you have advancing to your Final Four?
Wow, that's such a tough one. You know,
Kansas.
I would love to say Kansas, but Florida's on a 26-game winning streak.
I agree. Florida. The reason I picked Florida in this one is simply because they're starting 4 seniors. They have the experience. They have felt the disappointment of losing in the tournament early, and I don't think they're going to let it happen this year. I think Florida is very dangerous, led by Scotty Wilbekin. I see them making a Final Four run and even potentially a national championship run.
Yeah, besides Kentucky with the Fab 7 freshmen that they had that one year, a couple of years ago, that they won the national championship game, it's almost the most experienced team is the one who wins it.
Yep.
Florida is probably the most experienced team with talent in this whole tournament besides Wichita State.
I would say you have the 3 most talented teams in Florida, Michigan State, and Wichita State.
Yeah.
Experienced teams.
I would agree with you. And I think that experience will be a huge key since I think the discrepancy between the best team in the bracket and the worst team in the bracket is very small compared to other years.
Right.
I think there's going to be a lot of upsets, And the teams that do not go down early are going to be the Floridas and possibly the teams that are even more experienced. Okay, let's move on to the East bracket, headed out of New York. Virginia against Coastal Carolina. Who do you got?
Virginia, another hot team, just won the ACC. I got them for sure.
I would agree with you. I mean, how can you not go with Virginia? A number 1 seed has never lost. I don't see it happening here.
Absolutely.
Memphis, George Washington.
You know, I think that this is really kind of a disappointing matchup. I don't think either of these teams are anything special, anything great.
Yeah.
I don't think they pose a threat to Virginia. But who knows? It's the tournament. That's what makes it so special. So, and this one, I do have Memphis. George Washington does have some quality wins on the year, but I definitely got to go with Memphis on this one.
Honestly, I have no idea what to expect from Memphis. Some games, they wow me with their athleticism.
Yep,
other games, they just don't come to play. I think George Washington is a lot more of a consistent team.
With a win against Creighton.
They're hot right now. They beat Creighton. So I'm going to go with actually George Washington in this.
Alrighty. That's our first disagreement, Henry.
Yep. Oh, well.
I don't know if we can do this anymore.
Okay. The 5-12 matchup, Cincinnati versus Harvard.
You know,
who do you got?
Harvard played spoilers last year, and I almost feel that every bracket I see everyone talking at school, oh, Harvard's gonna win again. Cincinnati's going down, and that's kind of how I originally thought. But looking back on it, I think I really underestimated Cincinnati. As I said earlier in one of our podcasts, I was always surprised Cincinnati was in the top 10. I was always surprised Cincinnati was doing so well. And they really are a good team, led by Sean Kilpatrick, who averages 20-plus a game.
Yeah, talk about an experienced team.
I think
Cincinnati is very experienced.
I
they
think
are
Harvard,
a great team.
I think too many people are going to fall for Harvard this year, who is a very good team, but I really do have to go with Cincinnati in this one. I don't see Harvard being able to play spoilers 2 years in a row.
I don't see it happening. I mean, yeah, last year they did pull off the upset against New Mexico.
14-3 seed right there.
That was a crazy one, but it's not happening this year. Cincinnati, they're headed by Sean Kilpatrick. It's his senior year.
He's not letting their team lose in the first round, I can tell you that.
He's not letting them lose. I mean, they've been there, done that. They have a high BPI. They're 24th in BPI. They've played a lot of tough games, and I think they're ready. And I'm really interested for the possible second-round matchup, Cincinnati versus Michigan State.
That is one heck of a matchup.
If Michigan State gets there and Cincinnati gets there, I think that matchup, I'm kind of bummed out because I could have seen this matchup in this possibly in the Elite 8, Sweet 16. Right. And because they're both really experienced ball clubs.
So let me ask you this. I'm assuming you have Michigan State over Delaware?
Of course.
I do too. I don't think there's any questions asked on that one, as Michigan State, as a lot of people watched them yesterday, really just control the game against Michigan. Very good, a 2 seed. So Michigan State's hot. They're playing well. They're finally healthy, and that's why they have the difference to me. All right, Henry. North Carolina Providence. Talk about a streaky team. North Carolina is the definition of it.
They started out this year. They were doing really well.
Yeah.
Then everything fell apart.
They beat the number 1 team in the nation 3 times in Kentucky, Louisville, and Michigan State.
I mean,
they lose to UAB, Belmont. Those are 2 non-tournament teams, and in between those 3 wins. So you look at a streaky team. Started off the ACC 1-4, 1-5. Then they go and win about 7, 8, 9 in a row.
Yeah, I really.
And then they lost in the ACC tournament
because I don't like streaky teams because you don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
Are they going to show up?
And the problem is they're not hot right now. They're not on a good streak. They're on a bad streak.
And also the problem with these streaky teams is that you have to, if you want to win the national championship, you have to be on your game 6 games in a row.
Right.
Those streaky teams are usually not going to do it.
Right.
I see Providence getting this 11-6 upset and possibly having a chance to go to the Sweet 16.
You know, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. As we said, North Carolina's streaky, but North Carolina has the talent. Marcus Page, James Michael McAdoo.
Providence has the talent
Leslie
too.
McDonald. I understand that.
They've had a very good recruiting class in like the last 3 years.
I understand that, but I think that North Carolina, as a 6 seed, is beatable, most certainly. Not going to tell you that
Okay.
Providence has no chance. They have a very good chance.
Yeah.
But in a close game, I'm going to pick North Carolina in this one.
Okay, we shall see. We shall see.
Oh, most certainly.
Okay. Now the next game, Iowa State versus North Carolina Central.
Man.
Iowa State is one of my favorite teams this year.
And North Carolina Central is my favorite 14 seed. They are. The Eagles are good. I'm telling you.
Okay.
North Carolina.
Who do you got?
I'm
if
going.
you love them so much, are you going to say that they're going to upset them?
If North Carolina Central played any team besides Iowa State, I would have North Carolina Central any day of the week. But just because it is Iowa State, I got to go with Iowa State. They just won the Big 12. And they're playing great ball.
I think they have the best offense in the whole nation.
They are certainly a very, very good team, and that's why I think Iowa State wins this game. But watch out, North Carolina Central has a player who consistently drops 30. He has dropped 30 more than 5 times this year, including a game of 38. 2 more of 36 and 37. So they do have scoring, but it's really a one-man team at this point.
But Iowa State also has a lot of scoring.
Oh, no. I agree.
Gosh.
I
he
agree.
can shoot the ball. He won the Big 12 player of the year. He's a Big 12 player.
Absolutely. So let's move on. We agree with Iowa State. Yeah. I'm just saying North Carolina Central might make it close. Connecticut, St. Joe's. St. Joe's just won the Atlantic 10. For those who don't know, they beat VCU.
They're a great ball club. There are so many. I think the 7-10 matchup is probably the best matchup.
It's very exciting.
There's so many great matchups in this whole bracket. On the other side, we see Texas, Arizona State, Oregon, BYU. I mean, who do you got in this one, Will? UConn or St. Joe's?
You know, this one I feel is, in a way, a toss-up because I like both of them. I do too. I think UConn has some good wins. They do. But I think St. Joe's is playing well. Yes, UConn also is playing well as they just won the AAC. Mm-hmm. But I really don't know. If St. Joe's is able to find a way to stop Shabazz Napier, they win the game. If they don't, they lose. It's as simple as that.
I agree with you. Shabazz Napier is such a dynamic player. He shoots the ball. He can get to the rack.
He will be the difference in this game.
I agree, and that's why I have UConn winning because
I think that's why I have St. Joe's because I think they're going to be able to stop him.
Okay, we will see. Now, the Villanova University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee game. Who do you got?
Milwaukee was in the preseason predicted to finish last place in the Horizon League.
What a great story!
And they won it. That
that's
tells you
why
about
I love college basketball right there.
Exactly.
It's a toss-up. You don't know what's going to happen, just like the bracket.
Villanova just lost. They aren't a team that's on a streak. They aren't a team that's playing well, and they aren't a team that I think they've gotten absolutely destroyed by Creighton twice this year. 20 plus both times. I'm not ready to predict Milwaukee, but I'm gonna Nova for sure. But Milwaukee, I don't see Nova going much further.
I don't see them either. What their best player? Who is it? Archie Diacono, I believe. Their point guard. I don't think he's ready to lead them to the Final Four. They've only have one top 25 win against Kansas. That was the tournament in, I think, Jamaica or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a long time ago.
It doesn't matter what you do at the beginning of the year. It's how you're playing the last 10, 12 games.
Exactly. And I think that I could see them losing to either UConn or St. Joe's in the second round.
I agree.
Whoever gets
and
that,
if they get by that, Iowa State's going to kill them.
Exactly. And if they get by that, Virginia and Michigan State's going to dismantle.
So who do you have in this bracket coming out of the Final Four? This is a very solid bracket in my opinion. You got Michigan State.
I would have
Virginia and Iowa State. The top three of the top 4 seeds right there are very, very good.
I'm going to go with Michigan State.
I agree.
I think that experience trumps talent in this bracket.
And not only does it trump talent, but I think Michigan State is outright the most talented team. You look at Iowa State, very talented.
You think they're the most talented team?
Absolutely.
I'm not so sure about
Keith
that.
Appling, Adrian Payne.
Adrian Payne is not the most.
Harris.
You think Adrian Payne is the most talented big man?
No,
in the
but
country?
I'm saying those 3 combined can match any talent.
I think
in this
that
bracket.
they have more chemistry than most teams, but I wouldn't say that they have most talent.
Who has?
I think
team has 3 more talented players?
I think Iowa State
Ejim,
does.
Niang. Who else?
That's 2. Okay, but they still shoot the 3 ball really well.
They do,
and they've played And more, I think the Big 12's been better than the Big 10 this year, and I think it's prepared them more.
I'm just saying, talent-wise, player for player, Michigan State is the most talented team. Adrian Payne, Keith Appling, Gary Harris, the three most talented players.
I understand. I think
together in this bracket.
Yeah, I think Keith Appling is going to be the point guard. He is either playing very well.
So now you're agreeing with me.
Or he's playing quite poorly. So it's going to be interesting. If he can dish out the ball and give assists, I say that they go into the Final Four. And I'm agreeing with you. I think Michigan State is going to inevitably be in North Texas.
I agree. I expect Michigan State, even though they're a 4 seed.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I think there are going to be so many upsets that
I think that Michigan State, now that they're finally healthy, Brandon Dawson is back, Keith Appling is healthy, Adrian Payne is healthy. They're now playing the way they were the first 2 weeks of the year when they were all healthy. This is the first time they've all played together, all been healthy, and basically the whole year. So now that they're together, they're one of the most talented teams. They're not
my question: do you think Adrian Payne will be healthy this whole tournament?
I do.
I mean, I think we shall see.
But but you can say that for any team.
That's a good point. I mean, but there are some.
Edgem stay healthy the entire year. I mean, if they don't, then of course Iowa State's going to lose. Of course Michigan State's going to lose.
That's a good point. I mean, it's hard to predict.
And
the future.
I'm going to predict that Michigan State, for the ball club they have right now, will win. If pending an injury, things would certainly change, and that would be very unfortunate.
Okay, let's go to the West. First game. Number 1 seed Arizona versus Weber State.
All right, number 2
Arizona,
seed.
exactly. Can't even second guess that one. Oklahoma State versus Gonzaga. Who do you have?
Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, it probably deserves a 9 seed just because they've underperformed, but they aren't a 9 seed.
No.
They have Marcus Smart, one of the best players in the country. LeBron Nash, another very solid player.
That 1-2 combo reminds me of Batman and Robin. They're that good.
Yeah, they are a dynamic duo that can compete with any other duo in the nation, and that's why I have Oklahoma State in this game. And I don't know. You got to watch out. Oklahoma State, Arizona. That's a game to watch out.
According to the BPI, Oklahoma State is the most underseeded team in the whole tournament.
Because talent-wise, yes, but
it doesn't.
They deserve.
You have to also understand where the BPI is coming from.
I know.
It doesn't really factor in games where you're missing your top players.
Right.
Marcus Smart was out, and that's when they went on that crazy losing streak.
Right.
When Marcus Smart is playing, he is the leader of that ball club, and they win.
Right.
They are going to win, and I think that they will upset Arizona. I think that Arizona has been a little lucky. I think that their schedule that they have played this season.
Yeah, I don't think Arizona is the number 2 team in the nation, number 3 team in the nation.
I don't think so either. I mean, yes, they've had some decent wins, such as going to Michigan and beating them. That was a great win. But then they have some losses like at Cal, who's not even in the tournament. I mean, it's
19-13 team right there.
Yeah.
So I would say if there is,
also another thing, I don't think Aaron Gordon is that good.
I agree.
I see him dunking. He reminds me a little of Blake Griffin. He's very
athletic. Kind of looks like him too.
Yeah, he's very athletic. But does he have that low post presence like a very talented Joel Embiid or something?
Right.
I don't think so.
I think Oklahoma State over Arizona is it's a risky pick, but it's a pick that will pay off. I think that this is a legit game to watch out for and a legit matchup that Oklahoma State can win and move on to the Sweet 16.
And people like you and other analysts are saying that the West is the easiest bracket of them all.
Talent-wise, they are.
But I think there's some really good teams like Oklahoma State, San Diego State. I
don't like San Diego State at all.
I think that they have 5 really good players, and they play like a team. They went to Kansas. They beat my Jayhawks at Allen Fieldhouse. How many other teams can say that they've done that in the past 10 seasons? Not very many. Exactly.
Alrighty. Let's move on to the 5-12 matchup. Oklahoma, North Dakota State. Oklahoma comes in boasting one of the best offenses in the country and averaging like 84 points a game, 8th best in the nation. Oklahoma State is a team that is certainly Oklahoma is a team that you most certainly want to watch come tournament time, as they will they will not fail to entertain you in their scoring.
I'm quite surprised that North Dakota State is actually in this tournament.
Well, they
from a preseason point of view, because they lost their best player, Nate Walters, to the NBA.
And I'm going to tell you, they have some good wins. They do.
And I didn't expect them. I thought that they would just be a one. I thought last year they would be in it, since they've only been a D1 team for 5 seasons.
No,
but they're building a pretty good program.
Absolutely.
So maybe they'll shock it, but I'm not so sure. I think Oklahoma wins.
Alrighty, 4-13, San Diego State, New Mexico State. Who do you have, Henry?
I got San Diego State.
I'm not a fan of San Diego State, but I'm not a fan of New Mexico State either. So I'm going to go with San Diego State in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that San Diego State, they have some great wins, but
they have some bad losses.
They have some bad losses too, like at Wyoming, which I can't even. That's just absolutely horrible. But New Mexico State isn't even any better. So I think San Diego State advances.
Alrighty, Henry. Nebraska, Baylor, 6-11. This is where it gets fun. This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah,
Henry.
I mean, a couple seasons ago, this one happened since they were in the same. They would be in the same conference.
Right.
Conference realignment changes everything, and now you see them in the first round.
Absolutely.
Whew. I don't know. My gut feeling was Nebraska.
Same.
But I think I'm going to change. I'm going to go with Baylor.
All right, I got one word of advice for you, Henry. Stick with your gut, because I think Nebraska's going to win this one. They've got a star in Taron Petaway, who can take the game over when he wants, and that's why I think Nebraska's going to be able to win this game. They have solid wins. Ohio State, Michigan State. You have.
That's a good point.
They have very quality wins, and that's why I think this 11 seed in Nebraska upsets the 6 seed of Baylor.
Okay, now let's go on to Creighton, Louisiana Lafayette. Creighton. I mean,
Doug McDermott, one of the best players in the country.
I think
scores the ball.
I think he's the best player in the country. Period.
For
college basketball,
I don't agree with that one.
He has been dropping 40, 50 points consistently in Madison Square Garden. I love him. Creighton, best 3-point shooting team in the country.
They are one of them. I don't know.
They are the best. They are statistically. They have the best 3-point shooting. Also, just percentage of field goal percentage is right up there too. A lot of statistics that correlate with a lot of success in the tournament. Creighton are very high in those. I think that Creighton can go really, really far, and I think that they'll upset Wisconsin in the Sweet 16.
See, I don't even see Wisconsin getting to the Sweet 16 because I have Oregon beating.
Really?
I have Oregon beating BYU as a 7 seed. Because I think BYU just lost one of its star players to an ACL injury in the conference tournament.
What a bummer.
Very unfortunate for them, but they certainly deserve to get to the tournament after having a great year. And I don't see them giving Oregon a run for their money. As we were talking about Oklahoma having one of the best offenses, so does Oregon. Another top 10 offense, averaging 82 points a game. They are athletic, they're quick, they run the ball up and down the court. Certainly a game you want to watch if you want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And that's why I have Oregon not only beating BYU, but then going on and beating Wisconsin because I don't think Wisconsin can compete with this speed, this athleticism, this scoring. And that's why I have Oregon in my Sweet 16.
That's something that Wisconsin does not have. They're not athletic at all. They shoot the 3 well. They play decent defense. They play more as a unit. But
they play team basketball.
But come tournament time, it doesn't cut it. Why have they never been past the Sweet 16 in the last 4 years, whatever?
And they've always been a 2, 3, 4, 5 seed, a high seed.
They've been a high seed, and they've always underperformed. Oregon,
go Ducks.
A top 10 team. What at the beginning of the season? They underperformed a little bit, but I could see them
they're now just getting it. They've won something like 12 out of their last 14 games, really playing well, and that's why. Go Ducks.
Yeah, I mean, and the BPI also agrees. They have them quite highly up there, too. Let's move on to the Midwest, arguably the best.
I don't think it's arguable. It is the best region.
No, but arguably the best region in the last, 5 seasons. I mean, it is stacked.
Yeah, I don't know how this happens. You look at Wichita State, they're going to win their first game against Cal Poly and someone else. I don't know. Cal Poly's 13-19, by the way. Very good for them to getting into the tournament after getting a little bit hot on their streak. They're hot, Henry. Maybe they can beat Wichita State.
I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. Wichita State, 34-0. I think they'll make it 35-0. They'll be on to the second
Absolutely.
round.
Kentucky, Kansas State. As we said before, Kentucky's playing their best basketball right now. Kentucky.
I think we both agree with Kentucky.
All right, St. Louis, then the winner of North Carolina State, and Xavier. Who you got?
Whew. Wow. I'm not so hot on St. Louis.
I'm not either.
But I'm not so hot on NC State, of course. I mean, we've already berated them.
We've berated NC State, but let's not forget they do have the ACC Player of the Year in TJ Warren, who does average 25 points a game.
That's a good
point. It is a one-man team.
And they also have that really good... No, they have also a really good big man, Nkoku, I believe. That's how you pronounce it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But
he can flat out ball.
If you stop TJ Warren, you win the game. It's as simple as that. Kind of like how we were saying for UConn. If you stop Shabazz Napier, you win the game. Okay. And that's why I think it's very similar here. But I don't think St. Louis stops TJ Warren. Assuming they beat Xavier, which I see them doing. If Xavier wins, I have St. Louis. If North Carolina State wins, I have North Carolina State.
I'm going to go with St. Louis. I guess you're going to go with NC State.
That's not okay.
Okay.
Louisville, Manhattan. The Jaspers. The Jaspers are coming home, baby.
The Jaspers.
This gets me so excited. This gets me so excited. This is why I love tournament time, because everyone is so hot in Louisville. Something like 15-18% of brackets on ESPN have Louisville in their Final Four. They're the 4 seed. They're hot. They beat Rutgers by 60.
Oh, that was a
They're losing to Manhattan in the first round. I'm calling it. That's all I'm saying.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Why?
Because
what's your reasoning?
Manhattan.
Who's gonna stop Russ Smith?
What? The team, the defense of the team. Manhattan is
I'm not buying it.
Nope. Manhattan is a very hot team. They just beat Iona. They've won something. If my memory is straight, which I just checked it this morning, won 15 out of their last 18 games, maybe 16 out of their last 18 games. They're hot. They share the basketball, and they have some true talent on this team with guys averaging 18, 19 points per game. And that's why I have Manhattan. I'm not high on Louisville. Louisville has not beaten a good team outside of their conference. And that's why
But they beat a lot of good teams inside their conference.
Not as many as you think.
Okay, well, watching Manhattan play in the championship game against Iona, they did not pass my eye test. I'm sorry. They played. I'm shocked that they can't even be in this tournament. Besides even winning the tournament, their conference tournament, they are not good. I don't know what you see out of them.
I see a solid ball club. I see a Louisville team that's overrated. I understand they've won 15
I understand
out
if you
of
think
last
that they're
16.
overrated, that they would lose in the second, third round, whatever you want to say.
I see a Morehead State over Louisville.
Okay.
I see. Remember that a couple years ago?
Yeah, but
the buzzer beater.
Morehead State had Kenneth Fareed.
I understand that, and soon enough you're going to know a player from Manhattan. I'll tell you that.
Okay, UMass versus the winner of Iowa or Tennessee. First off,
I think Iowa got chipped being into a playing game, as Iowa is a very good team that's ranked most of the year.
I'll disagree with that because they're 1-6 in their last 7 games.
But they have very quality wins if you look at their schedule.
I don't see them beating Tennessee. They lost to.
I don't see
this. Listen to this. They lost to Northwestern.
Neutral court, to be fair.
Okay. I think UMass has no problem getting through.
UMass is a very good team, ranked in the top 100 in almost every category.
Yeah,
a very, very well-rounded team that if they're in another bracket, I see them making maybe an Elite 8 run. Not in this one, though.
Okay.
Second-round matchup, Duke or Mercer.
Well,
Duke.
Your little Blue Devils. Okay.
Let's go Duke. I see Duke winning this one. Moving on.
Okay. I completely agree with you.
Texas, Arizona State. Arizona State. Nah, Texas. Let's go Longhorns. Texas is another team that's played well, had some ups and downs throughout the year, but Arizona State doesn't have anything on them, I can tell you that.
I'm not so sure about anything on them. I'm blanking on his name, but their point guard for Arizona State is very, very good. He is an outstanding ball player, and he said that he's going to forego his junior or senior year, I can't remember, and go to the NBA, go to the draft. He's that good, and I think that it's a lot closer than you think. I know that Texas has some really good. Yeah, I believe Jaleel Carson is that if that's the right player.
Jaleel Carson, yes.
Yeah,
18 points a game.
That's pretty impressive, and I think that, yes, Texas, they've had some great wins, but
I just think Texas, a team.
I'm going to go with Arizona State.
Like we said, Texas is one of the best, playing in probably the best conference, and they have some good wins. They have ups and downs, as I said,
Okay.
but it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
you
okay.
feel me?
No hard feelings.
Okay, now
Michigan Walford. The Terriers are very mighty, but I'm going to go with the Michigan Wolverines on this one.
I'm agree. I don't think Michigan is another team that I don't personally like. I think they rely a little too much on Nick Stauskas.
Yes, 100%.
I don't really see who's their other best player. Harris LeVert. I mean, I don't see them. I don't see them going far. I think Duke beats them in the Sweet 16 possibly.
All right, Henry. Quickly. Back to the Manhattan. I remember the guy's name. George Beeman averages 19 points a game. He is your next Kenneth Faried, as in he's a guard forward, averages 6.5 rebounds a game.
I believe Kenneth Faried was more like 6'9". This guy's 6'4".
I understand that. I didn't say I meant Kenneth Faried in the sense that you will know his name coming from a small school, upsetting Louisville. I'm calling it.
Okay.
I will probably be the only one, but I'm feeling it.
Okay. I mean, we've called a lot of upsets already, so hopefully we'll get at least a couple right.
I think that they're a good team. They have the 38th best offense and averaging 77 points a game, and they're hot. They've only lost 1 out of their last 12 or so.
Okay, who do you see coming out of this region?
I don't even know. I'll go through this one. Duke over Michigan in my Sweet 16. This Kentucky-Wichita State matchup really has me scratching my head. I could see it going both ways.
I think Kentucky's too athletic for them.
Wichita State. All right.
Okay.
I think it could go both ways. I'm most certainly going to have Kentucky in some of them and most certainly going to have Wichita State in others.
Yep.
But in the end, I don't see... I mean, obviously not in every single bracket I'm going to have Manhattan over Louisville. But I don't see Louisville getting to the Elite Eight. I see Duke against Wichita State. And that Wichita State or Duke in my Final Four in this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with Wichita State.
Okay. I'm going to go with Louisville. I think that they're...
I take it back. I'm going to go with Duke. No one on Wichita State can stop Jabari Parker.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Second-guessing yourself. Maybe you should second-guess
I'm going with my gut. I was second-guessing my gut in the first place, I promise.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Louisville. I think that they are a really good team. I don't see anyone stopping Ross Smith in their Midwest region. And I think that they're going to win the national championship again.
George Beeman stopping Russ Smith in the first round, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
All right, Henry. Final Four. You have Florida, Michigan State, Louisville.
I got Florida, Louisville, and I have Louisville cutting down the nuts.
Who is your Final Four from the West region?
Oklahoma State.
Oh, that's okay. You have Louisville cutting down the nets?
I do.
Man, I haven't gone out in the first round. This could be a major bracket buster.
Now we'll have a proposition for you. If one of us gets that $1 billion for Warren Buffett, we'll split it?
No.
Okay.
I will give you a small portion, meaning probably 100,000.
Okay, well that is a small portion of $1 billion. Thanks for listening in, and follow us on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Follow us on Instagram.
Watch some college basketball.
Yeah.
Like us on Facebook.
And tune in next week.
I hope you guys do absolutely nothing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I'm only going to be watching basketball.
I'm not going to school.
Okay, bye.